So today we have another mini PC for you. This is the AceMagic AD08 with Windows 11 Pro pre-installed. And AceMagic, they've made quite a few mini PCs, and I've looked at a few in the past, and I do think they do an excellent job. But as usual, what I want to do with this thing is see how well it games, especially with like higher end emulation anyway. We'll be testing a few different things, some PC games as well, but I just want to kind of showcase those things and give you guys my thoughts on it. But to get into the specs of this thing, the AceMagic AD08 has a 11th gen Intel Core i9 11900H CPU with Intel UHD graphics. The model they sent me for purpose of review has 16 gigabytes DDR5 RAM and dual channel, expandable up to 64 gigabytes. And I'll show it a little later, but this thing does have RGB lighting on the RAM sticks. Kind of weird for a mini PC. Haven't seen that in the past, but hey, some people like that. And then also with this model, I have a 512 gigabyte M2 SSD, which is expandable up to 2 terabytes, or you can add a 2.5-inch SATA SSD in addition to that M2 slot. And I do like how that side panel just comes off. Like there's a few models that are very similar and have that little side panel that just has magnets on it. So that's pretty cool. This thing also has a Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.2, and for I/O, we have a 3.5 millimeter audio jack in the front, and then 4 USB 3.2s with 2 on the front, 2 on the back, and then a USB Type-C on the front, and then 2 HDMI 2.0s on the back. So enough with the unboxing and taking a look at the PC. Let's see what this thing is capable of. So we're going to be testing out a lot of gaming, PC gaming and emulation. I'm going to be using that 2 terabyte Launchbox hard drive that I got off of Amazon. Link down below if you want to check that video out. Pretty interesting thing with tons of games on it. Everything that you're going to be seeing here today is loaded off of that hard drive. So we're not going to be focusing on like really old stuff like 8 and 16-bit stuff. Of course, all those things are going to work just fine here. Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Atari, Game Boy. We're not worried about that. That stuff's all going to work. PS1, no problem. I want to focus on the little higher end stuff. So we'll start out low and move our way up and, you know, get to like Nintendo Switch, PS3, that kind of stuff. So I'll show some footage and then we'll talk about it.
You win! Battle 2, fight!
Ooh, bit of argy-bargy there. Quite a charge there. Oh, hard luck on that pass.
Okay, so a little bit of Dreamcast. We had 0 issues with Dreamcast on this machine. And then I moved on to jumping back to Nintendo 64. No problem. GameCube was the same. No issues at all. I also tried playing that Mario Kart GP2, the arcade game. Seemed to run okay. Maybe a few little minor issues. But overall, so far everything's good. Let's move on.
Are you afraid? Are you afraid?
KO. Battle 2, fight. Now die.
These must be the Galactic Rangers.
Hey, look! It's a new...
Press circle to fire your shock blaster.
So PSP and PlayStation 2 didn't have too much of an issue at all running those, but let's move a little further beyond that and see what to do. So not too much of an issue with Wii or Wii U, but this was the point where I did have to start making some minor adjustments to emulation to get better performance. And that's just how it's going to be with emulation. If you have a pre-made build and you use it on one PC and then use it on a different one, you may need to make some changes to get the best out of it. So keep that stuff in mind. But yeah, this thing's going to be fully capable of playing Wii and Wii U. But let's move on.
There.
So PS3 was mostly fine. I did have to make some minor tweaks here and there. There were a couple games like God of War 3 that I just could not get acceptable performance out of, but maybe I just need to look more into it because pretty much everything else seemed to run okay. But moving on to Nintendo Switch. So this is one that I've more recently started jumping into as far as emulation goes. And here, I really didn't have an issue with any game that is known to work with Yuzu. So yeah, if you want to emulate Nintendo Switch, this may be the mini PC for you. As far as PC gaming goes, I did try to play a few games. I mean, obviously all your like indie games, lower demanding stuff is going to run fine. I did play a few games like Red Dead Redemption 2 for a little while and didn't have too much of an issue with that game. It performed all right. But then playing things like Spider-Man on PC, I kept trying to change the settings, lowering it, and the game just was not running well for me at all. So, you know, with higher end PC gaming, yeah, maybe like low settings on some things. Just really depends on how well the game has been optimized, right? But one thing to point out, and I always do with these mini PCs before I start recording footage, is I update all the drivers. Make sure your graphics drivers are up to date, every single thing, Windows updates, all that kind of stuff. As I've had it happen before where I thought I had like the most recent update maybe for a graphics driver, and I wound up not, and I had really bad performance. And then once I updated everything, it just magically worked fine. Things that didn't run started to run just great. So it's just one thing to keep in mind. Make sure you're updated on everything. But overall, I think this AceMagic AD08 is a pretty nice little computer. I've been liking what these guys have been doing. But hey, it's all up to you. You guys saw what I was able to use this thing for. Link is down below if you're interested. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one. Bye.